All right.
We are live. We are live. Hello, everyone watching. Let's start with some beautiful music from Cameroon as we get ready to welcome our special guest of
See tonight, you come again. It's been a long time we never come home. Really low, I do wonder. Papa, mommy, you know you wonder. Really low, them you wonder. My brother, the way you day when you come back home. My sister, the way you day when you come back home.
Which artist is this?
This is Z2 Nice. Come back. Z2 Nice. Come back.
Oh,
We want to get you. We want it. We want to get you. Dreaming big for tomorrow. We gotta walk many close. Be an inspiration to the younger generation. The time is calling you back home. Oh, I'm la vie. My brother, the way you day, when you come back home, when you come back, when you come back, my sister, the way you day, when you come back home, when you come back, sing the light and come back. Make you dance to the beat, what people they get from come back. Entity, for proud be Entity, for proud be we want it. We want to bring you it. We want it. We want to bring you it. Yeah. Oh, sweet, oh.
The returning
wow.
Miranda, Oben,
Calling you back home. Alicia, see tonight.
you already know.
We want to better you day. We want to better you.
Okay, we'll take another shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. It is a beautiful, beautiful Saturday out here in Germany. My name is Miranda Oben. You already know, and my guest of today, you already saw her. We'll be waiting now behind the scenes until we bring her up in here. But we can't just introduce her just like that. She's done a lot, right? For my team, which has gone on research to find out what this lady has been doing for her nation. This is amazing work. If we had more of such, looking out for others, touching the younger generation, lifting the young girls of today and tomorrow, trust me, we will change the narrative. Apropos changing narrative, she and I will be discussing a lot today. Amongst others, with her, we have decided today we will tell you how we think we could be charting a new course for the next generation of women. Commy Mussa will be in an interview today with me, and we'll be talking about education of our youths and finding purpose. So just stay tuned and get yourself, if possible, a glass of water or a cup of tea, and you will really be enriched by this session. Trust me when I say there are some women out there, if they weren't in the world, I will definitely make them myself. So we definitely are happy. My name is Miranda, Oben, as said, and it's a pleasure for my team and I to go across the world Monday through Friday, Saturdays and Sundays as well, to reach out to visionaries, thought leaders, CEOs, journalists, many people who during the course of the pandemic, the lockdown, are touching many lives in their own ways. And these are the role models of our communities across the world. So if our history had to be rewritten, we want to have a page specially dedicated to this lady. Okay, so listen with me as she talks through, as she goes through her journey to finding truth and tells the young boys and girls of today what they should do to ensure an amazing future for tomorrow. Stay put, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to join us here as we welcome on the platform the beautiful, the intelligent, the very eloquent and straightforward focused young lady of our generation. Welcome with me, Commy Mussa, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! I know you're blushing now. I knew it. I knew it. Hey, Commy. Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you today?
Good. I'm good. The weather is much better than the past days. It was rainy the past 2 days. Today, this beautiful ray of sun. I'm such a weather person. What about you? What is it like in Yaoundé where you are?
This morning it was a bit chilly and rainy. We had few drops of rains in my quarter this morning, and surprisingly, it just changed and it's been a warm, sunny day.
Great.
And now
great.
it's 6 p.m. in Yaoundé, so it's beginning to get colder.
Right. It's 6 p.m. in Yaoundé, ladies and gentlemen, 7 p.m. in Germany, and we're welcoming my guest of today, the amazing Commy Mussa, who, like I said, is doing amazing to ensure that the younger generation steps up their game and prepares for tomorrow. But before we get into the depth of our discussion today, Commy, tell us a little bit about your profession, passion, and maybe a little bit private, if you don't mind.
Not mine at all. By the way, I want to say thanks for inviting me to be on the Returnees Project platform this evening to just have a conversation with you. My friends call me Commy, but that's my pet name. My name is Comfort Mussa, and
Right.
I am a journalist. I am a social worker, and I'm very passionate about women's rights and the rights of persons with disabilities. So my activism is centered around issues that concern women's rights and disability rights. And when I'm not working and active in civil society spaces back home, I have many friends. I have younger siblings, and I have mentees. I have mentees that come around and we just relax and enjoy life. I have 3 younger siblings. I'm first in a family of 4.
Okay.
And I enjoy traveling a lot. So when I'm not working, if I'm not spending time with my family and my friends, I'm traveling or trying to enjoy art. So music, live music shows. I like live music shows, poetry shows, art, and travel. Yeah. So when I'm not working, I am really trying to play hard. I relax and rest.
But something which is great, something which I didn't know you were the first in the family with 3 younger siblings, but we see that caring nature of yours. So I can imagine that being a sibling of yours must be something amazing to have you ahead. But there's something we've noticed particularly about you, Commy, the love for your dad. This was surprising you. I knew it was going to surprise you. There is that special connection. And when I try to think of a little girl and her dad until today, could you describe this bond you share? I knew I was going to surprise you with this. Could you describe this bond you share with your dad?
Even if you didn't bring this up, trust me, in the course of our conversations, I would have brought his name
You see, we've been snooping around.
He is more than just a parent to me. My dad happens to be my best friend. So he's a friend, and a friend in every sense of the word. I'm sure if you go through my call registers, my longest calls are to my dad. And it's really laid down, easy, frank conversations that I have with him. And so he's my friend, he's my father, and sometimes he's like the big brother. We talk sometimes and I'm like, hey, Daddy, I'm talking to you now as my big brother. Or he's also my partner in development. A lot of the projects I do, I share with him, and we share similar passions for disability and for development. So he has a very big part in my heart, like all of my heart.
Right. Maybe when we go deeper into the conversation and you're mentioning him, maybe you could tell me a little bit more if this affects, or maybe now, does it affect a little girl stability in life tomorrow, the bond she shares with a parent, a dad?
Yeah, it does. It does. And to a very big extent, I have my friends who have had daughters, and when they ask me, my male friends, when they ask me what is the best gift I ever got from my father, I always tell them it's the gift of his presence. And I'll tell you, the first time I went out to a restaurant, was with my father. You know, the kids growing in this generation will not know what it was like 10, 15, 20 years ago for us. Our culture had it that families ate at home. We didn't have a culture of going out with our parents to restaurants. Now it's different. So back in the day when I was in secondary school, the girls who went to restaurants went there on the invitation of younger boys or other boys. But for me, the first time I went to a restaurant, I think it was in Form 2 or Form 3, I can't remember. My dad took me out. So like my first kind of nice outing or date was with my dad. And that actually set a good precedence because he took me out. The first time we had like excursions to visit touristic sites, he did that. And also someone endorsing me, someone actually buying me a gift other than on Christmas or New Year Day was my dad. And it like little things, but it built my confidence in many ways. Now there are many young girls who do not receive gifts from their parents except on birthday, Christmas Day, Easter Day, or New Year's Day. And so in the other months when there are no feasts, any other person who gives them a gift makes them feel special in a way that they may start seeking this kind of attention. Very early in life, I received gifts from my parents on some days that was not my birthday or Christmas or New Year. So, growing up, I wasn't really looking for that out of my home. And having my dad take me to a restaurant the first time taught me some things about respect and how to expect people to treat me. And so there is a lot that a father can bring into the life of his daughter, especially when they're still young. If you give them the best first experiences, they go through life looking at that as a model. And I'm happy that I had parents who gave me this, especially my father.
That's amazing. I knew I was going to surprise you with that. And I see you were like, oh. So we talked about Commy, ladies and gentlemen, welcoming our special guest today, Comfort Mussa, popularly called Commy by her friends and close ones. So Commy Mussa runs a Facebook page, Sister Speaks 237. So as we speak, the private profile is Commy Mussa on Facebook, and the Facebook page is Sister Speak 237. So for those who are connected now, check this out, like the page, follow the work. And for those who will watch this later on, do that. Follow the page and see the brilliant work. Commy mentioned in her introduction already that she works with handicapped ladies, families, children. So try to go back and see the work, the amazing work she does there. And if there are any questions, kindly drop in the section below, in the comment section below, and my team will make sure that I see them so we can answer them live. But then, Commy, before we get into the depth of our conversation, we've talked a little bit about your dad already. Let's get to know Commy as a friend, or sister or colleague? What makes you smile? What makes your eyes light up?
When you say, let's get to know me as a friend, when you started with friend, my eyes lit up because I'm a very passionate friend, and my friends have a very big space in my life. I allow them to love me in the ways that they want to, and my friends are a big part of my journey.
Mhm.
And when I come home in the evening, I like connecting with people. So my friends are a big part of my life and my journey. At work, I'm very passionate about my work. I love my job, and I tell people if my passion or interest in a job ceases, I would likely resign from the job because I mean, going to work 8 to 5 takes up a lot of your energy, a lot of
Yes,
time. And if you must do it, you might as well do it joyfully.
exactly.
Not everyone has the, I don't want to call it privilege, but not everyone has that opportunity, maybe at this
Right.
point in to love where they go to work. That happens. But for me, I usually say if you cannot do what you love, then you need to find a way to love what you're doing. And so when I go to work, I am there for my passion and my interest. It's true that the money counts, right? But it's the result. And I've been blessed
Mhm.
that throughout my 13, 14 years career journey, I have
Mhm.
always worked within a sector that my
Mhm.
heart beats for. So
Right.
at work, I am more of a member of the team than I am a friend. So at work, I
Right.
don't go to make friends.
Mhm.
At work, I'm just a colleague, and we get the results done, and then I come home and make friends. So as a friend, that's who I am. As a colleague, that's who I am. And away from work and friendships, I have a big community that I work with, community of women with disabilities, community of younger women that I mentor,
Mhm.
and of course, our Sister Speak networks, the
Mhm.
female journalists that we work with, the women with disabilities that we work with, and other civil society actors. In this space, I'm a sister, I'm a comrade, and we're working together to make the world a better place for us all.
And apropos working together to make the world a better place, Commy, which is what you do with the Sister Speak platform. Tell us a little bit about, your tale. What is your inspiration behind this, the creation, the challenges, the success, or what you plan for the years ahead? Tell us a little bit more about Sister Speak.
So, Sister Speak has three parts. There is a sister, which stands for every woman, irrespective of age, financial standing, religious background, irrespective of the work you do. I call people a lot sis. When I talk with women, I call them sister because
Right.
that is like a level ground. I see
Mhm.
you as a sister. Sister is every woman. Speak is for voices, is for
Mhm.
visibility,
Mhm.
and 237 is for Cameroon. And I started this in 2014. So when I left journalism school and I went to begin my first job as a journalist, I was often told to read the horoscope and to read recipes. That's not my thing.
Okay.
I have no disrespect for those who love recipes and food recipes and horoscope, but this was just not my thing. And I was
Right.
asked to do this because they said I had the voice for it. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
I don't know what the voice, I don't know what the voice for reading horoscope and food recipes are every day.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't want to do this.
Mhm.
And Mira, you will know I'm a rebel in many ways. My father calls me rebel. And so I went and I was like, I am in this radio station, but I will not do horoscope. I will not do cooking time. Well, I did, but I kept resisting. And so I created my own programs. And the management of the station they were gracious enough to give me the space where I started Women's World, a program where we would discuss women's issues, talk about taboo subjects. I started many different slots on radio where I felt like my skills were put to better use. But even then, there were still restrictions on what I could do and how I could do it. And then I started reporting for international media organs. And sometimes you pitch a story and the treatment is somewhat different from this idea that you had. And so I wanted a space where I could really talk about burning women's issues, where we could address taboo subjects. And that's how we started Sister Speak. When we started Sister Speak, it was just a website for me to tell stories, for me to get other women tell their stories. But then it quickly grew from just a website to a registered legal association where we are not only telling stories, but we are continuously training women, because I kept telling people, you need to tell your stories. And then I discovered that not everybody has the skills and the tools to tell their stories.
Right.
And then we keep telling women, if you're in science, if you're in business, if you're in politics, you need to be more visible. And then we discover not all of them have the tools to be visible. So we started training women to empower them with the skills and the tools needed to make their voices heard and to make their actions visible. And so Sister Speak grew from just this desire to have our voices to now a platform where over the years we've been able to train many women, we've been able to do programs here and there, and we keep impacting on the lives of women in different ways. We identify needs amongst different communities of women, and we try to work with women to meet this need. So in brief, that's what Sister Speak is about. And it's a platform for every woman. It's not just, it's no longer Commy's thing. When it started, it was my vision, but that's the power of vision, right? You birth it and everyone becomes a part of it.
Exactly. That's the main thing. The vision is like the umbrella, and when everyone can fit under it and work with you, congratulations for the work you're doing. We have something out here which I definitely should read out to you. So it's not only my words, like the introduction at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, when you watch that, is because a lot of people are following the work Commy Mussa is doing. We have Patience Gwekala Atanga, who says from Germany, she says, I have been following Commy Mussa's work. She's a young, dynamic, intelligent, and a vision. Powerful voice to reckon with. Dr. Christopher Fomunyoy, the silent but great force within Cameroon's sociopolitical arena, introduced her to me. So again, you see what Patience says about you. How do you relate?
Patience.
Very good. How do you relate to this kind of, probably daily you get these kind of messages? How do you react and relate to them? Commy, this is another sister in Germany for you.
Thank you very much, Patience. Thanks for your kind comments. And I get these comments often, and when I do, it really humbles me. And it humbles me, and it at the same time encourages me, because when I started out, it wasn't praise. At the very beginning, it wasn't praise I was getting for the work we were doing. So when I started out, we would have programs on radio where I talk about women negotiating for safe sex and why women should do family planning and why they should learn to use the female condom so they can protect themselves against HIV and things like that. Trust me, 13 years ago, that was taboo. And I would be on radio hosting programs like this. And we had people who would say, oh, Commy she's a bad girl. She's teaching people, in quotes, bad fashion. She's teaching people bad fashion on radio. And I would talk and I would question power systems, maybe villages where women who wanted to become politicians were intimidated and told not to run. When I would host programs like that, and it was not always received in praise. So at the beginning, it was name calling, and I have documented articles. I have proofs of all of this, which I keep so I can show other women when they're starting out and they're facing opposition. We had people who talk to my father and say, you raised a rebel. She's not talking like an African, or she's questioning this authority. She has done this. And so it was not the praise at all when we started. But over time, some of the things that we talked on radio and people called taboo subjects have now been normalized. And I am grateful. So when I hear people appreciating what I do, it really humbles me, because there was a time when what we do was criticized, was heavily resisted. It was resisted. And we kept on, because when you have a vision and you stick to it, with time, some people will come to see it, some people may not. I still get attacks sometimes on Facebook. People will call you names, but I have learned to remain focused. And I'm encouraged when I hear testimonies and people will call and say, my life changed because of this program that you did. I've had people call and say, I'm a woman living with HIV, and thanks to the programs you're doing on HIV, this is I got help. That for me is very comforting, and it's an encouragement, because activists do not always get the praise. We're always fighting, and so it's comforting and it's encouraging when someone says, "Hey, you're doing good." That alone is a force that can push you, to keep doing good and doing better than what you've done.
Very good. So again, a message also for the young girls. So at the beginning, people will criticize, they'll say what not, but you use the force within, believe in your vision, and you keep going. Now we're actually having this conversation, you and I, Commy, at the moment when the world is facing, unfortunately, our silent enemy, the COVID-19, the novel coronavirus. So my question sometimes when I look at your work is, how would you describe your professional life as a journalist now? How was it like before, and what is it like now during this pandemic, during this lockdown?
COVID-19 has hit everyone, even journalists. My routines have changed greatly. Sorry, as a journalist, normally I would travel to the field, and I enjoy getting to different places, interviewing people, telling their stories, and seeing their lives changed. You've seen my journeys. I'm always in the villages, in the bushes, working with people and telling stories. And I have not done this since March. And it's not easy. My friends will call sometimes and ask me, how are you coping? You're always on the road.
I know.
How do you feel to be in one spot? And it's not easy. It's challenging, and I think many other people are facing challenges because of COVID. And I always try to find purpose. I have some of my smalls watching, and I have sat with them and said, this is what is happening. COVID is happening. We cannot move. But in this season, what can we do? Because we can complain about how it's affecting us from now till next year, and nothing will change.
Sure.
So while we're at home, how do we spend this time in the way that when life returns to what it was before, when we can travel and do the work we want to do, we are better? How do you rest during this time? What can you do within this space? What else can you think about beyond just COVID? And so for me, it's a very different experience.
Right.
I don't know if in like 10 years, I don't know if I've had to sit in one place for 2 months. But I'm still writing. There are ways we're finding ways to tell stories even during this COVID. And occasionally I will go to the field if I've done a risk assessment and I feel my life is not endangered. I go to the field once in a while. But around a specific geographic location, I can't travel too far.
Right. And then you mentioned actually going to the field, and my team found a picture of you working out in the field. I would assume, if I'm not mistaken, that this is a recent picture, is it?
This is recent, yes.
What was happening here? What was going on in this picture?
So that's me and Rita in Sister Speak t-shirt. Rita is an amazing woman. I stress on the amazing because she has a big heart for development, for inclusive development. And she's very literate. And we sat and asked ourselves with COVID, as Sisters Speak, how is this affecting women with disabilities? And we decided to reach out to AFADI. AFADI is an association of persons with disabilities in Yaoundé 5. And so we visited them to just talk with them and find out how you're coping, how you're holding on. It was a check into our sisters with disabilities, just to know what they're doing, how they're doing, what are their needs, how can we help. And we visited with some hygiene packages, which another amazing sister, and I'm mentioning her name because I believe in networking and the power of a connection. Maureen Babila, she said, if you're going to visit these women, I'm going to send hand sanitizers. And then we got face masks, and then together we sat down with the women just to know how they're coping, what do they need, and how can we help. That was I think.
Okay, lovely. So thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Maureen Babila, for strengthening a sister's work, because it's only when we hold hands together in the philosophy of Ubuntu that we'll be able to reach out to more people. So thank you, Maureen, for supporting a sister to go support other sisters on a platform, the Sister Speak platform. So keep doing the great work. Thank you. But now we talk about Sister Speak during the pandemic. Do you foresee, or do you have any plans, concrete plans of what you will be doing after the lockdown? Will it change your route you have been taking so far with the Sister Speak platform?
The COVID-19 pandemic has caused us to rethink how we do things. To look at our systems and see where we are weak. Because for now, like, we work a lot with different women with disabilities, and with the difficulty in meeting physically, we're now discovering that, hey, we need to strengthen the capacities of the women we work with to be able to relate remotely, to work remotely. So we are identifying a lot of needs. So COVID-19 is a challenge that we're all facing, but it's opening our eyes to other needs. And also for many women that we work with, they're telling us, if this thing continues for 1 month, I may not be able to feed my family. We have even journalists who are saying, if this thing continues for another 2 months, I may not be able to feed my family. That is an immediate problem. But we're thinking, after COVID, how do we as women, as professionals, and this is not just for women, it's for every woman, be you a doctor or a lawyer. There are many women who will not survive 3 months down the road because of how we have been saving. Do we have money in the bank? And so COVID is opening our eyes to a lot of things that we need to get right after COVID. Because then you don't know what else will hit you. Life will always throw challenges at us. Today it could be COVID. Next month it could be an accident where maybe you're home and you don't have a regular salary, depending on what kind of company you work in. So there is a lot that we are thinking, and there are many ideas that are dropping in our minds, and we will definitely rethink how we are doing things, and we will definitely rethink the kind of trainings and programs that we're developing for the women that we work with.
Right. We also, that's actually a good way of rethinking, and also thinking it's not only the COVID-19, but what if it was another incident that kept you at home? How do you want to chart your future? How do you want to map out your future? So that's good. We found, like, you and I found this cross section of the women you work with, right? So could you just highlight a little bit of who was on this picture and what could have been happening where? After shift like this.
You have pictures of some of my favorites.
Wait, hang on. You see these guys here? They snoop around before our guests arrive. They snoop around and snoop around. So again, now looking at this, a cross section.
This picture is beautiful, and I love the women on it. It represents our passion. Most of these women, all of these women but one, are female journalists in Cameroon.
Ooh.
And tomorrow is World Press Freedom Day. So
Yay.
I hail and I celebrate these women. These pictures were taken last month during a fact-checking workshop that Sister Speak organized in partnership with the
Right.
Canadian High Commission in Cameroon. We organized a fact-checking workshop for women reporting from crisis zones. And
Right.
we were in Yaoundé building our capacities, and most of them have been producing amazing stories. And that is just one aspect of what we do, skills development. That was last month, and all of those women, I celebrate them, especially on the
Right.
eve of World Press Freedom Day, because what they do is very important. They are telling amazing stories, and they are bringing very unique perspectives to the stories that they tell. And there is a woman on the bottom line there, um, besides a black laptop holding the
Right.
microphone, as a Rose. Her name is Colette Buffon. She is visually impaired, 100% visually impaired.
Oh.
And for the past 3 years, Sister Speak has been organizing a national storytelling competition for student journalists. And Colette, though blind, has emerged overall best winner. So the last competition that we had, she was overall best winner, and the other two editions, she was top of the category she competed in. And we are very proud of Colette. And now she's a graduate. She's in the job market, and Colette is that woman. We tell other women, look at Colette. Didn't let blindness stand in her way. She went to school. Today she's a graduate from School of Journalism, and she's excelling when she has to compete with other people. Thank you for bringing that picture.
Oh, you wouldn't have imagined what we've been doing behind the scenes. So yes, congratulations, Colette, for amazing work. You know, other women should look onto you, see that even though there's a disability, it doesn't stop you from doing what you want to do, following your passion. So thank you as well, Sister Speak, and the entire team for highlighting, bringing these women, showing the world what these other women behind the scenes are doing. Whenever my team and I have an opportunity, we plan to come and attend your events, your live events, and also be a part of this, you know, see what the sisters are doing, talk to them and encourage them. So just let us know when next you have another event and we'll be glad to come by. Definitely will be glad to come by. Now we're talking again about the COVID-19 and all this has happened. Following your article, we snooped around and read an article on Al Jazeera where you said from April 13, the government made it obligatory for people to wear face masks whenever appearing in public as part of measures to slow down the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Great article, great work on Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
But then the same government of Cameroon now, we gather, has reopened markets and most businesses as of yesterday, May 1st. What is your take on this decision? And are they able to follow the WHO measures now that you've had kind of most of the places reopened? What is your take? I know. You're like,
Should I not? I will say it is what it is. This release has gone out, and we can only make analysis at this point. But more importantly, you and I and the Cameroonians, more importantly, we need to take personal responsibility for our health. Because there's a release now that says bars can be open, people can travel. How you travel, and whether or not you choose to go to a bar, whether or not you wear a face mask, is actually your decision. I mean, I will not comment on the policy for now, but I would say, because I have questions. And beyond the questions, what I do as an individual is that when I go out, I wear my mask and I try to avoid like unnecessary movements. I can only do my best and hope that I don't fall sick. And this is the same thing I tell other people. And COVID is happening. Releases come and go. Things are updated. maybe tomorrow it's going to be there's going to be another release that helps contain COVID. And when I heard the release, the very next day I went to the market because I had to shop for the house, and I had my mask on. And my younger sister was with me, and she told me we are the odd ones. No other person is wearing a mask in this market. And people were saying corona is fini, corona is fini. And it is this ignorance and this mindset that can lead more people to sickness, because the release did not say the battle with COVID is won. The release actually cautioned, and the minister came in the next day and actually cautioned people to stick to the guidelines of maintaining a distance and wearing their masks. And so I think salvation is personal. People must take personal responsibility for their health. And COVID is a tricky thing because you may protect yourself. If the next person does not protect themselves enough, they can, if the next person is sick and doesn't do enough to protect himself and keep his space clean, you could get infected. So although I say salvation is personal, I know it's going to take a collective effort, and I really am saddened by what I see. The attitude of people saddens me, and I hope that there can be more consciousness, that people will actually, there's still people who believe that there is no COVID-19 in Cameroon. I have talked to people who believe that there is no COVID. And this kind of ignorance, no matter what measures are put in place, will amount to nothing but disaster. So I hope more people can believe that there is COVID, there's danger, and protect themselves so that collectively we beat this monster that is out here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commy. That actually falls in line with the question we're just getting from Patience Gwekala Atanga. She was actually mentioning the COVID-19 pandemic remains a huge threat as the numbers continue to rise. African leaders are working together to combat the virus. What would you say about our country, Cameroon? Maybe you could take, I don't know if you want to take up this question or it answers the question you just responded to, Commy.
I think I've commented about what's happening in Cameroon, and I may just add that COVID has come to amplify the challenges we already have. So COVID has come, and now we're telling everyone, wash your hands. But in Yaoundé, there are many neighborhoods where the taps have run dry for many years. And so now we say, wash your hands on one hand, and on the other hand, the people who have to wash their hands do not have potable water. They don't have water. And we are saying each time you go out, wear a mask. I interviewed some people who do not have the resources to buy a good mask every day or every 2 days and all of that. So COVID has come to expose the problems of leadership in Africa. It's come to expose the challenges with our hospitals, because there are hospitals where you still have patients sharing a bed. The other day, a colleague shared some pictures where she visited a hospital and some beds had 2 patients on a single bed. This only becomes worse with COVID. And so COVID is not showing us anything we didn't know before, but it's just amplified it. And there have been problems of governance, there have been problems of inadequacies within the public health system, which is more glaring now that we have a big challenge on our hands.
Right. So now, when we look at all this, it bubbles down to the word education. How you educate the people, how you educate the young ones as well. It will guide us a lot into the outcomes of a lot of things, not only the COVID-19. Have we been telling children early on that it's important to wash your hands, it's important to cough in your elbow? These things, like you said, amplify the health measures we should already put in place. There are other viruses out there. When I think education, I think of our youths at this point, Commy, something you're very passionate about. I don't want to say it's some very tricky topic, but what is like your overall picture when you look at the youths of today?
There is classroom education that I will not dwell a lot on,
Right.
but education again is something. So there are two levels to this. When you're very young and you have little or no control over what people teach, and so you're young and someone tells you, you see this kind of thing, it can only be done in white man country. Here in black man country, like they tell you things, this can only happen in Europe. When
Right.
you're young, you have little or no control over what people teach you. But when you grow up and you can think for yourself, now it's a second group of people who have grown up and can reason and can ask questions and can seek answers for themselves. I work a lot with youth, and when I in my coaching sessions, I challenge them to first of all question what they have been taught.
Yes.
I tell people that my life, I has a lot to do with unpacking some of the things that I was taught when I was growing up. I was taught,
Right.
oh, if you're a woman, this is not good for you. You cannot do this. You should not do this. And so if you're on Facebook and you're listening to Mira and I, it means you're old enough to think. And what we as Africans and as youth should be doing is learning to question certain things. Why is this tradition the way it is? What can we do? Now with COVID, I tell you what I tell my smalls who are scientists. Each time I see an innovation, be it in Madagascar or in Senegal, or a
Right.
young scientist in Ghana trying to develop a hand washing point, I get the pictures and the links and I send to my smalls and I tell them, problems only come to amplify solutions.
Right.
Look at what these people are creating because of the problem. All of us may not be able to create a drug for COVID, but what are the problems that we are facing?
Right.
And what are you designed to create? So this COVID challenge, I'm using it to educate the youth
Right.
that are in my circle to know that although in school they taught you have to read and pass exams, but in life you need to do more than just read and pass exams. You need to question what you learned. You need to learn new things for yourself, but more importantly, you need to educate yourself on who you are. Who are you and why are you here? I think that's the biggest education. You start from there. Who are you and why are you here? And what contribution do you make? So with COVID, with my younger ones, I'm challenging them. Think about problems. What is the biggest problem facing your world? It may not be
Right.
COVID. It could be financial system. It could be a problem to malaria. What are the biggest problems in your world, in your village, in your family? Think about it. What can you do about it? And I show them examples of how people are being resilient and finding solutions to modern day problems. And that for me is a start of a process of education that works for me. I ask myself these questions and then I sought to get the knowledge, the skills, the values that I need to answer these questions.
Right.
Classroom education is a whole other topic. We need a whole hour to talk about.
We need another hour for classroom education, but then you're saying that other things which are societal, what are they doing? I'm just telling, ladies and gentlemen, for you all who are hosting watch parties on different platforms, thank you for doing that. But unfortunately, Commy and I cannot see the real-time questions. So probably later on, Commy will be able to answer to your questions, or you come to the returnees project Facebook page and you could drop your questions there and we'll be able to answer that in real time. But if not, we can only see the comments and the questions which are on our platform of the returnees project page. So we're talking the education of youths, and Commy was saying youth should question why they are here. And whenever something is told, ask yourself if it makes sense. Try to think for yourself, because growing up, she had to learn things which today she's having to unlearn to understand a lot of things. That takes us a little bit to truth and purpose, Commy. I want to blend this through education as well, asking how should someone find truth and what is truth? And then how should someone find their purpose? Is there a limited time in life you have to know your purpose, why you're here? Just take us through a journey through truth And purpose.
Truth is relative. Truth is relative. You have to discover what your truth is. And for me, as a young woman, when I was growing, the mistake, and I'm still growing, but when I was much younger, the mistake I made was to accept other people's truths as my own. You need to discover your truth for yourself. And this takes reflection, and you need to know yourself. Many people do not know themselves because they were not educated or programmed that way. So you need to discover your truth for yourself. What works for Mira may not work for me. And you need to discover your truth for yourself because every person's destiny is different. Miranda, for example, you're deeply passionate about figures and the accuracy of numbers. I am totally obsessed with the accuracy of words. So if you give me a lot of figures, you may bore me to tears. But maybe if I throw a lot of my stories at you, you get tired. So everyone is different, and we need to know what works for us and what is a truth. Now, purpose, and I really love purpose. So because purpose for me marks the beginning of my journey. Who am I? Why am I here? What do I have? What are my skills? What are my talents? What is the question that disturbs me? What is that thing that I want to change? These are questions I kept asking myself, and discovering my purpose was a process. But it started with me asking, who am I? Who is Comfort? Why is she here on earth? And answering the question of why am I here on earth, I had to answer, what did I come with? What you came with can somehow tell you where you're going. It's your skills, it's your talents, it's what moves you. Now there are people who may hear that a woman has been raped or a woman is poor and cannot afford her meal and manage to sleep. Things like that make me lose sleep. What makes you lose sleep? What troubles your heart? For other people, it's just technology. There are people who are so bored with slow internet. They hear internet is slow and they keep thinking of, what can I do to make it fast? They may lose sleep over that. I don't lose sleep over it. There are people because what makes you lose sleep? A point as to where you're going to. And when you ask yourself these questions, what do you have? What makes you lose sleep? What does your heart beat for? These are pointers. And for you to ask yourself these questions, you need to take time. It's not just sitting and watching a fashion trend and like, hey, I think I'm called to be a designer. No, it's more than just that. It's a deep reflection. And when you find these answers, you start thinking about how are you going to put your talent, your gifts, your resources to use to solve the problems that make you lose sleep. So your truth is unique, your purpose is unique, but it's up to you to find it, and it is a process. Give yourself time. And you're asking if it's too late. No, I would say it's not too late. And permit me share a testimony I read this week from a former schoolmate. She's on Facebook. She's a young woman in the US, Joyce After. She's amazing. In UB, she had a BSc in management, I think. And then she traveled to the US. And after 10 years, she decided to go to nursing school. And she's just graduated this year. And she put it up. Now, when we were in secondary school, Joyce was in arts. She did lower set arts and opposite arts. And you know the mindset, if you start out with literature and history and economics, I mean, people already tell you there is no way you can work in a hospital. And she went to uni and studied management. But 10 years down the road,
she realized,
she rerouted, and decided to study nursing. And she was sharing it on her page and saying, it's never too late. Trust me, it's never too late. There are things I am starting now that were in my heart 13 years ago when I started work. I had the desire and I wanted to do this, but you can't do everything at one time.
Sure.
Because sometimes you have a desire to do something, but you don't have the skills. So give
Right.
yourself. But what you should do importantly is to keep the flame alive. Don't let it die. You see that little dream, even if it's something you wanted to do when you were 13 years old. I remember when I went to PSS Form 1, I knew I wanted to be an amazing journalist working on major TV platforms and on international media. More than 20 something years now. Some of those dreams are only coming to pass now, or maybe last year or year before last. And I've been working for 13 years. I mean, in Pidgin, they'll say, if you don't do something for 13 years, you know, hammer, leave them, you know. But when it is your passion, you need to keep it alive and keep watering it. And trust me, anything that you water will grow. So it's never too late.
Right. So we're telling the young girls out there, you shouldn't put a limit to the timeline. Your purpose has to be within the time frame. If not, it's too late. No, I'm too old to start this and etc. If you see a role model, you see somebody doing something, go ahead and do it. Throw yourself out there.
Mira, I think sometimes it's not the young girls who put a limit. Society puts a limit and they tell you when you grow up.
Just getting to that. Perfect.
By 28, you must be married. By 30, 33, you should have had all your children. And then, so these are rules that society sets for many women. And when they don't achieve these things, they start feeling like they are failures. I am above 30 and I am not married. I don't yet have children. And do I think marriage is a good thing? Yes, I do. Will I get married? Maybe. Will I have children? Maybe. But trust me, this is what I tell my younger sisters and I tell my mentees. If at 28 you're not yet married, my sister, do not kill yourself because of that. Do not cry yourself to sleep every night. Do not feel you're half human. There are women who are married and they're in their 30s and they don't have kids because maybe biologically they're not able to have kids. But society puts all this pressure on them and they feel incomplete. They feel it's too late. No, I cannot start this business if I'm not married. If I get married, man. Oh.
I say you are really a twin of mine. I was about to say, but these societal pressures, you say exactly. So, but then this limitation on the girls or the women, do the boys feel this pressure as well, Commy, or is it just the female folk that get the pressure? You should have done this by this, that kind of tact. The boys feel it? No.
The boys do not feel it as much as we do because the way our society is set up is patriarchal. And it's true to encourage people to think about life milestones. It's good to talk about having babies. It's good to talk about the beauty of marriage. But it's a problem when that becomes a pressure on a woman who feels she cannot take any move forward if this thing has not happened. And we need, again, I said truth is relative. We need to share more stories for girls to know that A probably got married at 20, but there's also a B somewhere who got married at 30. And there is also a C somewhere who had children at the age of 38.
Right.
Because every woman's reality is different. Our paths are different. Our stories are different. So we shouldn't use the standard of our mothers who got married at 23 and say this is now the standard for every other woman. No, it's not. I am not my mother. I have my own story and I have my own challenges. So as much as we want everyone to enjoy the beauty of motherhood and the beauty of being married, let's remember that everyone, even around the world, the time zones differ. Germany and Cameroon were not on the same time zone, so we cannot expect every woman to roll by the same scripts. And I think women need to define these for themselves and be proud and not feel bad. Too many women apologize. We move around like apologizing where I'm like this, but I am no. You are good. If you get married, we'll celebrate with you. Hope we get the invitations. If you have babies, we will come for the baby showers. But do not let someone think that you cannot go to school again because you have not had a baby. So these are things that are personal, and we need to set a personal agenda for ourselves and not be pressured by society to feel less.
You know, actually, with you, when I have a conversation with you every time, Commy, I always think I actually need a program, which is just you and I, different topics, different day. The conversation of today has taken us on a journey, and we have patients say, thanks for rekindling gender issues. This is an entire topic on its own. Right? Yeah. And one other thing you mentioned here is talking about the stories. Your own story is different from your mother's and your grandmother's and other generations before. Now, it makes me think, in your point of view, what is the importance of now us telling our own stories in order to motivate ourselves, first of all, or others, like changing the narrative using your profession as a journalist? What is, in your point of view, the importance now of using these stories to change the narrative?
At Sister Speak, we have a mantra and a slogan, which is, if we don't tell our stories, who will? And I tell my stories because if I don't, nobody else will.
True.
And we encourage other women to tell their stories because if they don't, nobody will. And telling our stories is important for two things. We are creating a space for ourselves and holding space for other women.
Right.
You don't know what just having us on program this evening say. It's okay. Do not be under pressure if you have not had this and this by this age. You don't know what that means to somebody watching. There is a woman watching who will feel encouraged and say, okay, it means I can still do this, right? So when we tell our stories, we create space for ourselves and we hold space for other women. When we tell our stories, we show what is possible.
Right.
When we tell our stories, we record. There are a lot of things that are lost because our mothers did not document. When we tell our stories, we create new realities. I cannot count the number of girls who have said, I am going to do so and so because I read about Ansa, my role model, because I read about Miranda, because I read about maybe a leader in their village. When we tell our stories, we are creating new narratives. Imagine when we were growing up and they would say, oh, a woman, politics is not for women. And then you had only men. And then, hey, one day you're watching TV and you see Ellen Johnson and she tells you, and then there's a program where she's talking about how she struggled with her babies, how she had to work in a restaurant in America, and how she's ended up as a president. That inspires. So when we tell our stories, we are creating new narratives. You're showing girls what is possible. You're showing other women what is possible. Before now, we had just one model. A beautiful girl is the one that is tall, is fair, her hair is long. But now you have different versions of beauty. The other day you hosted a natural hairstylist on your show.
Ooh, Myra Fombe, she was great.
And no, she's creating a new reality. We're having different shapes, different shades of beauty. We're having different definitions of what a woman is able to do because there are women who did it and showed us how to do it, which is something at Sister Speak we continue to encourage women. When you have crossed the path, do not keep it to yourself. You owe it to your daughters. And you owe it to other women. Let us know how you raised $1 million. The average Cameroonian woman does not have 500,000 francs saving as her own, but you have women who have succeeded to build houses in places where owning land is a problem. Share that story. Which struggle did you
Yes.
Now, we don't have to go through the same struggle all the time. I could talk on and on about the importance of telling stories, but I have seen the power of stories change my life. I have seen the power of stories change the lives of other women. And when we tell our stories, it should not be once in a while. We need to keep telling it until it's okay for your daughter to know that she can be president, until it's okay for your daughter to grow up knowing that if at 30 she's not married, it's not because she has a problem.
No.
We need to create new realities for ourselves and for the women who will come behind us.
That's amazing. We need to create new realities, ladies and gentlemen, for ourselves and for the women who will come after us. Our mothers didn't document all this, so Commy Mussa and the Sister Speak team, Sister Speak 237, are holding the hands of women across the world, specifically in Cameroon, to let them know that don't let society pressurize you to do what they think is the norm. So Commy also said the society is kind of patriarchal. So please remember that if you see other women who are in role models positions, and you mentioned a lady who talks about natural hair, Myra Fombe, who was here the other day, these are the kind of stories we want to emulate. These are the kind of people we want to follow and tell our young girls, hey, if you have seen Myra do this and she's wearing her natural hair and helping the natural hair movement go on, this is how we can all together chart that new course for the generation of young girls, young men, and women of tomorrow. And it's not only talking to the women, we're talking to the young boys as well. You have sisters, you have mothers. So you support the woman's vision, the woman's passion, the woman's truth, the woman's purpose. Very, very important. Commy, just give us a message now, what it is like to live a purpose-driven life. What can I tell a little boy or a little girl about the tips to follow when you found your purpose? How do I keep that purpose?
Depending on what stage in your life you are in, I will say if you already know what you're here for, discovering your purpose is not an event. It's not something you discover and then that's it. You need to live that life every day.
Right.
If you have not yet, if you feel you're not yet living a purpose-driven life, again, what makes you lose sleep? That thing you go to bed and you're worried about. For someone is that burning desire to write a book. For someone is the desire to discover a cure for malaria. Each time you hear malaria, you lose appetite. For Miranda, it's engineering and science and tech and fixing things. For me, is the power of stories and civil society advocacy. I live, I sleep, my life is around these issues because that's what makes my heart beat. What makes your heart beat, and discovering it is a process. So if you're not there yet, do not feel frustrated. Learn more about your talents, learn more about your field, and keep looking inside. And also read a lot about the things you're passionate about, the things you're concerned about. I was raised on books. Different people have different processes of discovering their talent, their purpose. For me, it was a lot of reflection. It was a lot of meditation and reading. I read a lot about the people in my field. I read a lot about purpose. And so for me, it's reading books and meditating and thinking about my life and interrogating my realities. For another person, it may be talking to mentors. It may be seeking counsel because your truth is different. Not everybody is going to love reading books as much as I do. So find out what works for you, but be on a constant quest to know yourself, to understand what your gifts are, and work towards solving that problem of what keeps you awake and not what makes you lose sleep. So it's different processes for different people, and I can't give one model and say this is how to discover your purpose, but it starts with asking the right question of why you're here, what do you have, and what are you born to, what solutions are you born to bring to your world.
Great, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very rich conversation, which I will definitely go back to watch myself, to ask myself the questions Commy has said we should ask ourselves, finding truth, finding purpose, living a purpose-driven life, not letting societal pressures put us, keep us, kind of agitated, not knowing what to do. Commy has mentioned reading books, and actually that takes me to, as we wrap up this interview, what are some books you can recommend for our viewers out there? Maybe like 2 or 1?
I think what you should be reading now ties with where you're deficient. So if you lack vitamins, you have to take vitamins. I can prescribe protein. But I have 2 books I am reading this week. I love books.
Right.
If you can see this, where is my camera?
This way, yes.
So this is what I'm reading this week. This one is Destiny by, I need to find my camera and get it right. Okay, this one is Destiny by T.D. Jakes, Step into Your Purpose. I'm a student of purpose. So it's a very good book. It's a very good book which I started this week, and if you can see, I'm highlighting a lot of things because of how rich. And then next week, this is what I'll be reading. Can you see that?
Yes, Soar
by
T.D. Jakes, yes.
It says, build your vision from ground up. So these are the 2 books I'm currently reading because of the deficiency I have. My deficiency may not be yours. So think about what you lack and then find books or get talks, messages that fill that need.
Right. And what kind of music do you like, Commy?
I love everything. Music for me is like food. I hope you don't ask me what my favorite meal is, but music goes with mood, goes with my mood. But I love all genres of music, and I love gospel music a lot.
Right.
So I listen to even non-gospel music, but gospel music has a way of just calming me and refreshing me.
Right. Now, I believe you exercise a lot and eat healthy. I'm just going to tell, ladies and gentlemen, we've had some guests, and Commy mentioned here, you can prescribe something else when you realize somebody needs vitamins. In this case, somebody needs vitamin C, D, whatever you need. Just make sure you're eating healthy, eating a lot of fruits, eating a lot of greens as well. These pictures are courtesy of Sherylicious Naturals. She was here on the program with us. And as we wrap up this interview, I'll give Commy a chance of about 2 to 3 minutes where she can pass on her message to the world, because we are laughing here and talking purpose, but there are people out there going through a lot of mourning and crying and losing loved ones as a result of the COVID-19. Again, those watching on other platforms and hosting watch parties, you will have to come to the Returnees Project timeline for us to see your comments and at least respond in real time. We're wrapping up this interview with a special message from Commy Mussa to the world. And Commy, just take 2 to 3 minutes, address the people out there in your special message to the world.
Well, thanks again for an opportunity to share a message with the world in these very difficult times. And there are people who are sick. You may be ill. You may have friends who are ill. You may be counting your losses. Very difficult times. Amidst these difficulties, I encourage you to also find the things you're grateful for. Sometimes it's not the big things. It's knowing that is maybe just being grateful that even while you're mourning your losses, you have friends who can call you. Maybe it's just being grateful for the fact that you have internet that helps you connect, with the world. So even as we go through these difficult times, I encourage us to find time to be grateful for the little blessing. You have to be intentional about gratitude. Life is, you see us laughing here, Miranda, it's not because we don't have issues that trouble us. We do. And in spite of this, there are things that we are grateful for. So I practice gratitude daily, and I encourage you, irrespective of what you're going through, find something to be grateful for each day. And also, just use this time to, there is purpose. There is purpose even in this season. and use this time to find out what it is you are supposed to be doing when you're not going on with life as normal. It will differ from person to person. For other people, this is a chance for them to rest. It's a chance for them to bond with their families more. It's a chance to learn. And so let's not be consumed by the troubles of the day. The troubles are there, but let's be intentional in finding the little blessings. And I'll wrap up with this. Your script is in your hand. This is a blank sheet of paper, and I'm just holding it up for the visual so that you remember this. It's blank. And I challenge you to do something I did myself. Who do you want to create in this masterpiece? I wrote something and I said the comfort that I dream of, the comfort that is living her best life, the most ideal version of myself. And I wrote it down. This is what she's doing. This is what she's doing. This is what she looks like. And I try to live that life. Be the author of your own destiny. It doesn't matter where you are at this point. You may be in prison. You may be going through a terrible divorce. You may be out of school. You may be low on finances. Irrespective of where you are, write down your ideal life. If you had everything you needed, what would that ideal life look like? Write it down and try to live towards that. And another question I ask myself each day is, death is sure. If I die today, what do I want to be remembered for? Honestly, who do I want to bless? What do I want to leave as a legacy? And this is a conversation I have with my father all the time. What legacy do we want to leave? What do we want to be remembered for? And if you know what you want to be remembered for, live towards living the kind of legacy you want, and live life to the best. Enjoy your journey on earth.
Thank you so much. That was rich. Trust me, I can't do a recap of what you just said because it was deep, So thank you so much for mentioning gratitude and, of course, living your life to the fullest and then living a legacy until we find people like you and I doing this for the young ones, doing it for women across the world. It always sounds at first like I was singing like a broken record all by myself. And then a mutual friend of you and I got us in touch with each other. Like when I see Commy, I think about Miranda. When I'm talking to Miranda, I think about Commy.
Yeah, Irene Z, she connected us.
Exactly. Irene Z was like, definitely it's crazy. She has two friends, but when she's talking with one, she feels like she's talking with the other. And it's been like that from the beginning. So your words are so deep. I relate, and I thank you so much for the time today to talk to us. Accept greetings from my team as well, right, who have been following your work here. And please use this moment also to say hello to a special someone out there in the world, or some special people out there in the world, since we're in the lockdown currently. Who would you like to say?
This is a setup. I have many friends watching, so I may not call names just so nobody attacks me after this. But I'm grateful for all the friends who have tuned in. Very grateful for Kweti Cynthia. She's a young writer. She's up and coming, and I call her name out in this space in the world because I believe in Cynthia and in all the other women who, like Cynthia, are upcoming. I want to give a big shout out to Rita Mosumbe, she's watching, and to Patience and all the women who tuned in. Honestly, I cannot call all the names. I'm seeing message alerts on my phone. I can't go through, but we are grateful that you all stayed for an hour to listen to Mira and I share our thoughts. It means a lot to me, and we just want to thank you, and of course to my mom and dad.
Right, your mom and dad. We say a special shout out to Commy's mom and dad, these lovely parents who brought you into this world of ours. Thanks for all you're doing. Again, where I reiterate your voice, and I thank the people out there watching and enjoying all of what we've been talking about here. Feel free at any point to drop Commy a message if you have a question or a follow-up and you don't know how to find your purpose or you don't know how to find your truth. or you feel like sometimes the world is just closing in on you. You're not too sure if you're doing the right thing. You're not too sure as a woman if you're finding the right spot in this society. You keep being pushed back and forth, left and right, and the pressure is too much. Get in touch with Sister Speak. Sister Speak is the great group registered organization by Commy Mussa, and they will be able to know how to guide you. They might not know your story, but they know stories like yours, and your story even story which will help shape the next person's future, which will help shape the next person's purpose. For those who joined later on, I'm going to surprise Commy right now, and I want to see the look on her face when she sees this last picture, which my film fished out, and I just do this.
Oh my goodness.
So for those who tune in later than 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes.
All right. Thanks for
Daddy's girl, daddy's special girl.
this. I need to take a screenshot of this.
We need to be like this so daddy can see us.
Oh, goodness, this is a pleasant surprise me, and I'm glad you shared this. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those who just tune in, this is Commy and her dad, her special anchor, the person who makes her smile in a different way because he's seen her from when she was a small girl until all the marvels she does today, the person who understands her, the first person to take her out on a date to a restaurant. So, for those tuning in now, we kept that surprise for the last because this is a special man who has brought up a strong lady in our community, and we're beginning to think the more daddies unite with their young girls and give them that stronghold, that bond, believe in them, listen to them, ask them questions, the more the ladies grow up to be as remarkable as Commy Mussa. So again, bond with your little girls' daddies. And Commy, you and I, we should talk about our daddies behind the scene.
Yes, we definitely should. Thank you so much, Mira. It's been a great way to spend a Saturday evening telling us stories. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and you said listen to gospel music. You might not know this one, but I'll just try this for you.
I love this one. I actually start most of my days with gospel music.
Really?
So yes, people have different rituals. My morning ritual is listening to gospel music.
That's great. I was just like, I heard this 3 weeks ago. Someone said this is a lovely song. And we'll just wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Patience Goikala Tanga says you both are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Orichon, Crystal Khan, everyone who is watching from the watch parties, sharing this video, watching later. Tell the young girls to believe that they can do STEM studies, science, technology, engineering, medicine. I mean, I'm an IT engineer. I know what it is like. There were only boys in my field, but made it. And I could just tell the young girls, believe in yourselves, stand out and do what you want to do. Believe in yourself, inspire from other ladies, and of course, your dreams will always come true. As Commy will put it, yes, you can, young ladies.
Sure.
I saw that. You love me too much. Oh,
that's a beautiful song.
Too much, excess love. Jesus, you love me too much.
Me?
Yes.
You can permit me 1 second. I just really want to appreciate Jerry Kudi.
Okay.
He's a man who stayed out throughout the program up till this end, and I've just read some of his comments, and I appreciate him and all the men who tuned in.
Thank you so much. So, Jerry, that was your appreciation from Commy Mussa. You stayed from the beginning till the end. As a man, we appreciate you. We appreciate all the women who supporting all the men who supporting the women in their dreams, their visions, their truth, their purpose. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you to my amazing team, the Dream Team. Amazing.
You make
My life brighter.
Yeah.
all
All
your
your
promises
promises are yes.
Amen. You know, I never knew the song, and I have a friend, a Nigerian friend, who was like, "How come you don't know this song, Miranda?" And I
It's a
was
hit.
like, Ezem was like, "You don't know the song." I'm like, "Ezem, I'm sorry." And then I discovered it. So thank you to the wonderful man. Thank you, Ezem, for all you do. You know, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Exactly. You're welcome. You love me too much, oh, too much, oh, too much, oh. Excess, yes, Bubuka. You love me too much. Come this way, then Auntie can see you. Auntie, somebody is saying hello. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Akira. Come back here. Auntie cannot see you if you go away.
How are you, Akira?
Say, I'm
Love
fine.
you.
All right, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. Tune in tomorrow, 7 p.m. to talk to my next guest. Thank you all. Thank you, Commy.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. A very rich conversation with Commy Mussa, the founder of Sister Speak 237, empowering young ladies to believe in themselves, rise above it all. And I want to say, you have been amazing, Commy, as a guest. Everyone watching now and who will watch later, please pass on the message to the young girls to believe in themselves, follow their purpose, follow their truth, and of course, follow the life that God made them, created them to live on earth. My name is Miranda Oben, 7 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. Cameroon, 7 p.m. Germany. Meet us on the Returnees Project platform, and we keep exchanging with the world, going across the world to make sure we touch a life. We're able to, through visionaries, through others, build a strong network of Africans who believe in the future of our country, our nation, our continent by doing what we can do. So again, thank you to my special team. My guests of tomorrow are Thierry Nyamen, Dr. Thierry Nyamen of Tanti, and Laura Sen of Zoom des Entrepreneurs 237. Alors, demain, ce sera en français. Merci et au revoir.